What's up, everybody? It's Adrian Grenier. I just did an interview with Eric Balance of the Resilient Mind podcast. Check it out. We talk about pretty much everything to do with self, identity, expression, nature, masculine, feminine, and family. So check it out.
Hey everybody, it's Eric Balance coming to you with the Resilient Minds podcast, where I feature beautiful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and experts in their field, where they help us discover their X factor, their experience of life, only to discover how they were able to accomplish and find out their Y factor, their big why, their purpose in life. So join me as we get to discover the beauty of our minds and how can we really continue to go after the biggest and most wildest dreams while we continue to pursue and manifest our greatest intelligence that comes from the heart. Also, if you haven't, go check out the new alignment course that I've created at www.ericbalance.com/alignment, ALIGNMENT. See you on the show. Welcome everybody to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm very grateful today because we have a very special guest and somebody that for me, as I was growing up, was like somewhat of a real big inspiration. And it was really beautiful to watch, as we kind of grew. That what they called was a bro comedy, the Entourage, but really focusedly as we kind of have grown in our own awareness, to see the journey of where this amazing man has gone and how he's been able to deliver, his intention and really focused attention to this reality. And I really just want to welcome you, Adrian, on the show. But before we go into the conversation, bro, I just want to really acknowledge, what you've cemented as a change agent into how you've leveraged your influence, your talent as a communicator, and really bringing these new age awareness and consciousness on these essential components of like family, community, culture, nature, going back into really philosophizing the investment by really being a change maker, and going to transfer that knowledge that you have from your heart space to impact through your venture firm, to what you're doing in Texas on your farm, to focusing on sustainable development goals, and then really taking that strive, that initiative with the documentary series of Earth Speed, where you're really helping founders to curate their own real world or solve their real world problems, and facilitating change for economic growth, climate change, and how we can really stop this consumption lifestyle, but rather like a regenerative transference of energy. So I know I said a lot, but I just wanted to really acknowledge the brilliance that you've contributed, because this is something that needs to take a moment and just say, welcome, bro. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And hello, everybody. Glad to be here. I hope I can live up to that intro.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you already have. And to be completely, what I always share on the Resilient Minds is, we've contributed our experience, our X factor, to our why, to our purpose. And so many people, they don't think that they can really accumulate this from within to then go out into the world and express it and consciously express it. So I'd love to know before your journey, what was it that really helped you identify this X factor that you have today, but maybe not you weren't so sure of in the past?
What's coming up for me right now is this idea that we are first being, then doing, and then becoming, in that order. And a lot of times people are they're living in a future headspace, like a projection. And they forget to just be with themselves. And if I think back just intuitively to like all the important moments of my life, it always started in that that grounded space of just pure awareness and presence. And then I attribute a lot of, all of my life, my actual life, to my mother, as she birthed me, but also the things that she taught me in terms of allowing myself to think big. She discouraged me from playing small, and not in egoic kind of way, but more in just, she said, if you want something, give it to yourself, and then work to make it happen, right? Actually go out and like build it and create it. And so she gave me a lot of empowered lessons in my life. And so I've just been basically reiterating that mantra, which is, go out and create it, manifest it, but without the attachment to the outcome. Yeah. Because inevitably, whatever you imagine, whatever becomes is going to be different than what you imagine. And so a lot of times people are disappointed with the dissonance between their fantasies and reality. Fantasies are just it's a doodle. It's like it's just a blueprint, right? The territory is not the map type thing. And so I got so many maps. I have lots of maps. I draw new maps. I create new maps. And then I always end up going out and just being out in the world as it is. And I'm just super thrilled and fulfilled and gratified at life. I feel so grateful that, not that I've cracked the code. I feel like it's more just that I feel like I'm in a rhythm of living, which is extremely, I feel privileged, because it's not that I have everything I want. It's just that I'm satisfied with what I do have. And that gives me the enthusiasm to keep striving.
And I think this is the literally the embodiment of gratitude, right? So because you have that gratitude, you're enthused to continue to grow, and why you continue to contribute in so many different areas of your life. Yeah, precisely.
I think that's the thing, is like, there's so much self-help out there and so much ambition. People are striving and grasping to become, and I feel like it's a much easier process, if we could just like allow it to be graceful. And it's not always the case. Sometimes I'm full of anxiety and pulling my hair out and doubting myself. Of course, we all go through that. But deep down in like the substrate, like the foundational level, and I'm attributing all of this to my mother. I don't even know if she did it verbally or if it was somehow, or she just even passed it down in my DNA. I don't know exactly where it came from exactly, but it's just this deep calm and this knowing that I'm enough, and that I'm safe.
I think this is something that, we're very blessed, because like you, my parents, same thing. They're like, go after it. We believe in you. You can do it, and this is something that creates that unconditional love within us first, and then allows us to continue to go out there and create certainty, right? So we walk into a room and people almost like will look to the lead and say, hey, like, you're creating certainty. And I know that more people can actually influence themselves this way. They don't think they can, but in fact, that's where the certainty really comes from, is themselves. And so when you like figured out, hey, you know, or not figured out, but like had this passed down from your mom, like, I'm enough. I actually don't have to go out there and do. First of all, I just need to be who I am. How do you feel most people, because most people are unaware that they are capable of this or it's possible. How do you feel that this, especially going back to, family and culture and really like even bringing it back to nature, right? That we are enough. What do you think that anybody listening right now can do, or maybe like a 2 or 3 steps can do to like step into this place of like, hold on a second, I'm enough, like I can be here now and I don't have to go and prove myself anymore?
Well, I'd say take an acting class. A lot of
presence,
of course,
total presence.
First there was mother. Yeah, exactly. It's like unless you're in kabuki theater where everything is big and like, indicated, the film and the acting and the storytelling that we gravitate towards is based in something natural and real. And if you look at the great actors that you love, just pick anyone, you get a sense that they're just in a state of their own natural presence, and like they don't have to do anything. They walk into a room, 0 lines, and it's just like, oh, I can't take my eyes off that person. And there was actually a specific slogan when I was in acting school that was, "You are enough." And I think the idea is, don't do anything, don't try, don't push it, don't indicate and try and get the audience to feel a certain way. Just first be with the feeling yourself. And if it's not there, don't force it. And you have within you all of it. Right? You have all of the feelings, all of the complexity, you have all of the potential, all within you. But if you're so busy looking outside to find it, and trying to control the world and organize other people and change the world to your perception, it's too hard. The world's too complex. There's too many details, too many elements to control. So it just doesn't happen. But within you is all of it. So first there's just presence, there's beingness, then you do, and then it becomes. So take acting classes and start to recognize that any character is within you, like all the characters. You could be anybody, and really fundamentally being in this existence, in my humble opinion, at least philosophically, this is all. The world is a stage. This is a show. We are creating this illusion, and have some fun with it. Like, be playful, allow yourself to, just go into that, the giddiness of creation. It's so, just being here on the land and nature, I look outside, there's so much comedy. I mean, there's a lot of tragedy. I mean, death is ever present, but it's that duality and that balance that makes it so rich and fruitful and full of complexity, but it's also funny as fuck. It's just everywhere. It's like, just really, like I even when it hurts, even when it's painful, like I walked out into the field and I had these little cutoff jean shorts, right? And I decided I'm just going to go real quick and do something in the field. And there were all these tall grasses. I was there for 5 minutes. 2.5 weeks later, I'm still itching because I got chiggers. You know chiggers? They're like these little mites. And I mean, it hurts and it's painful and it's itchy and it sucks, man. It sucks. But it's so funny because I keep imagining myself in these little shorts thinking that somehow like I'm frolicking
You're not gonna get it. Yeah, you're fine.
in the grass, you know?
Yeah.
But there's just, if you look at it everywhere, it's pretty funny. I don't know how we got on the tragedy and comedy of triggers.
But I think this is the thing is you're right. It brings together the community of understanding, hey, like everybody, we really can, first of all, tragedy and comedy is like the duality, like you said, of really bringing our life to a new perspective. And community, as you're so, really wanting to, this has been something that has been a super focus for you as well as for me, bringing that common unity, that community together to help people identify that it's actually the present that gives you the opportunity to stay in who you really are. And I think presence, as you say, and I think what I've loved as I was growing up and I would watch movies and, I would watch, different shows or some of the greatest actors, including yourself, identify that actually how I learned was so much more about the face, more than what was being said. It was actually about how it was being said, how the body moved, how the facial expression was. And that was really the initiative of presence, because it doesn't matter. Sometimes people, you could, and I'm sure you've probably experienced it, if somebody is saying something and you don't really understand what they're saying, but the way that they're saying it, you believe it so much more because it's embodied in them, and so it's communicated so much more effectively. And also on this on this other spectrum, where somebody's saying something super truthful but it doesn't feel embodied, it's like there's no engagement, right? Mm-hmm. So I think this is something that everybody, and it becomes the actor of their own life, consciousness experiencing itself. They tap into this sovereign influence to create that certainty. And so when it comes to this in common unity and in really bringing together some of, what you've been working on, whether it's, the farm or really bringing together what's exciting it for you, and even like the chief earth advocate for the space tourism, like I'd love to know on your perspective, first of all, with the space tourism and things like this, plan A is about regenerating our planet, right? And plan B is figuring out, where else they're going to go, to really repopulate. But what is it when it comes to some of the ventures that you're focusing on, or what you're curating with, different experiences in your reality? What is it that are you seeking to want to accomplish more with Plan A, with these sustainable development goals, with these regenerative, farming? How is that showing up currently for you, for the community and for nature?
Yeah, for me, it's part of this whole stage in my life where it's about coming back down to earth, physically and metaphorically speaking. And it's connected to my chief earth advocate role with Worldview, which is a space tourism company, which is looking externally out, but my role is really to bring people back down to earth. Amazing. And to use that experience as a reflection of their role and their place here. And
I think it's a great contrast, by the way, because I think it's super important, the fact that space tourism, and then saying, hey, you need to actually focus on not just the space tourism is the contrast for you to look inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a perspective. And it's not, there's a lot of tension between, the billionaire class, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, all spending about a bunch of money to leave the planet. And a lot of people who think that that's irresponsible on some level. I don't think that it's either or. I think it's both and. You know, and I really love that I'm part of bridging the gap, right? Because look, the reality is we are infinite beings. We're going to be here for a long time, and we conceivably will be here as long as the earth exists, whether or not it falls into the sun or not. Maybe it'll go another way. There's asteroids out there that could, you know, annihilate us a lot sooner. But there's a lot of consensus that, and I think it's probably inaccurate, statistically speaking, there's a lot of consensus that humans are going to destroy the planet. I don't know. For me, the jury's still out on that one. But the reality is the planet will change in, you know, a way that will make it uninhabitable eventually. So we are best to start considering how to get off the planet. It's just something that we are going to want to do, and who knows how long that will take us to figure out. So who's to say when we should start putting our energy and our effort and our imagination and our technology to figure that out? I can't say that. Maybe it's a good time. Maybe we're too late. You know, maybe we didn't start soon enough. Who knows? That being said, we do have a beautiful planet that deserves our care and also our creative technological ability. Right? We can still use our capacity to move Earth and to shape and to design. To make the earth as beautiful as possible. So it's both and for me. And that's really what I've been doing is, you know, when I was in Hollywood jet setting around the world, I was a little bit, you know, above the ground and in my head. And I've come down to earth as of late to start a family, work in the soil, and bring people focus on not, you know, again, what they think, what they project, but what they feel and what they're grounded in being able to create and nurture here on the soil and on the earth. There's a quote, you know, first I was clever and I tried to change the world, and then I was wise and I tried to change myself. And that's really where I'm at. I'm like, what can I do? How can I be a better steward? How can I embody the changes environmentally that I've been preaching and wagging my finger for so many years, trying to change people through campaigns and hearts and minds, right? Like everybody else has to make the changes, or corporations have to do the right thing, or cede my power to governments. Well, if they would just do it, then the world would be a better place. And suddenly it's like so disempowering when you are looking to others to do the thing. And if they don't do it, then we're screwed. And it's so uncomfortable and disconcerting because, again, like we were saying before, you're trying to change all the details, the elements out there. But right now I'm like, there's a lot that I can do within myself to be the best steward and the best caretaker. And there's some things that I don't even know how to do that I need to learn. So that's really what I've been focusing on here at Kintsugi, at Earth Speed, is can I build the capacity to be able to care for myself in the best way, take care of my family and the earth. And I've become an apprentice overnight. I was badass. I was powerful. I was the boss man. And then suddenly overnight, like here I am, humble, just trying to learn how to keep things alive on the land, in the farm.
I think that this is something, you know, do you feel, what was it specifically that kind of maybe shifted that from mindset to heart set, that mind thinking process to like a really embodied Vin? or Vince. See, even an embodied Adrian. You know, it's funny, bro, because listen, like for so long I'm thinking of you as Vince, but I apologize, you know, and I don't mean it by anything.
No, I am Vince. I am.
Uh,
I mean, that's a reality. I mean, we're talking about the multiverse. Like, the Vincent Chase me is a very real timeline that exists.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true, bro. And I have to say that it's interesting because literally you see, like, even subconsciously, like it just came out, you know. But to be honest, like, what shifted from Vincent to Adrian? Maybe that's actually even better. You know?
Yeah. Well, so, you know, I mean, it's interesting. It's complex. It's curious, and there's so many ways to tell this story. But since we have the acting scene going, you know, I put on this mask. I put on this character, and remember, the character was just what is within me coming forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to find within myself the Vince. You know, they say Da Vinci, when they ask him, when he carved David, the statue, they said, you know, how did you know what to carve to make David? And he goes, no, I didn't carve anything to make David. I just took away the parts that weren't David. And so in acting and in life, you know, you get to be whoever you want, but you have to first, you know, let go of the parts that don't serve that part of you, or that whatever you're trying to create in yourself. So more and more that I played this character, it became easier and easier and more familiar. And the more approval I got, the more people started calling me Vince, to the point where it became not only the character I was playing, but the lifestyle I was living. And so it was simply that I had to eventually let go of the character, let go of that aspect of myself, because it didn't serve me. It wasn't what I wanted in my life. And I saw I saw the trajectory that I was on, and I didn't think it was going to turn out very well, to be honest. And if you just close your eyes and you imagine, like, what season 500 of Entourage would look like when Vince is 80, you know, what's his life look like? And I'm like, I think I could probably do better than that. And so I had to let go of this character that I played for 10, 12 years, that had given me so much joy, pleasure, wealth, fame, attention, all the things. And that was a painful process, but it really came down to wanting more for myself in the long run, and wanting to feel more connected to something real, family, community, nature. And it was, and the inspiration, the catalyst was my wife, which was just recent,
by the way, right?
Yeah. We got married in June.
Amazing.
And we had quite a long journey, because thank you. She dated me when I was ostensibly Vincent Chase. You know, she dated me when I was that guy. Poor thing. And she put up with a lot, right? And you know, I'm charming. I have my ways, you know, but at the same time, she like, you know, like, I think all women, they want more from their men. They grounded. And I think this is an epidemic in our culture too, where women have to settle for less. Because men just aren't showing up in the right ways. Womanize and check out. And did I lose you? Are you back? You're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay. I don't know where we left off, but
basically, women and men. What women are really seeking, you know, from men.
Yeah, I think. I mean, this is from my humble opinion, but hey,
please,
and I think it
please, bro, because
if you crunch the data, yeah, you know, I think men and there's a symbiotic relationship. I mean, it's like, you know, that's how life is created, through that relationship between masculine, feminine, men and women. And we've gotten ourselves into a pickle. It was, you know, it served us because we had to survive and for whatever reasons, but this toxic masculinity is inversely connected and complementary to a toxic femininity. And it's like this depraved acceptance that women have, that they don't need men. You know, it's a sort of toxic feminism where they don't need men. And rightfully so, because men have been jerks for so long, and they've been selfish and
wounded,
egotistical, wounded, narcissistic, destructive, all of those things. So women are like, fuck this, like, we don't need these people, these guys, we're going to do it on our own. And that sort of, there's a separation, but it doesn't look like that's going to work out either. So we really need each other, and we need to come back together in divine balance. But we first, both of the sexes need to level up. Men need to be better and do better and be present and show the fuck up for women in service of mother, the women who are bringing life from nothing into existence, that brought us all here. And I think women need to expect more of men, but give us a chance to prove that we can be there. And that's what Jordan did. She called me out, called me forward, and demanded more of me. She is the first woman that didn't accept the worst aspects of me just to hang out with me. I mean, there were a lot of that, and this is the toxic femininity. Like, they would just accept the worst parts just so they could have something, you know, because it's lonely out there. And that really shook me awake. You know, she bitch slapped me cosmically, and then I was like, oh, there's more to me, there's more to the world. And that's really when I started tugging at that string, and I started to.
Was this where you kind of put on this, this is amazing, bro, because I just want to touch point on this, because I think that this is something that so many people can get from this. So when she kind of, let's say, this cosmic bitch slap, was this something like, hold on a second, was this where Vincent became Adrian, and seriously, this was where you realized, okay, I need to kind of wake up of my real identity and step into this realization of saying, I'm going to balance out my own energy of this masculine, feminine force, following my heart space, and really divinely connect more to these beautiful conditions of what my mother has taught me, and allow me to really bring out this best version of myself in service to who I am. And finding out my own identity is going to actually step into this masculine force of creating a change by being change in myself first, and then knowing that you can hold space for, like, you know, divine Jordan, you know, like really being into this place. And so it's beautiful. And so I'm curious to know a little bit deeper about it, because I think there's a lot of men, first of all, like, based off of this patriarchal mindset of what has been conditioned, we need to be like strong and angry and wounded and pricks and things like this. And by the way, I was this way as at one point in my life as well. So I'm no angel here. And so really identifying and stepping into my own kind of darkness in the past, and then recognizing, okay, I need to go deeper inside of myself to then understand, hey, how can we be more loving, compassionate to ourselves as men? And then really from that space on, as we can hold space for our beloved feminine energy within ourselves, to then be able to hold it externally for the amazing women around us, because that's what, you know, we came from.
Yeah. I think that's the ultimate hero's journey for a man is to be able to protect and serve women. I think that's when you come to that realization, I think a lot of good things will happen in your life. But that doesn't mean that you're there yet. That's just like your North Star, and that reorients you into something bigger than yourself and your ego. And that's a rite of passage in which you go from immature boy, me, to, how can I give of myself to something bigger? And, and that's, look, that's what Vincent Chase was. He was the eternal child, the Peter Pan, reflection in society. And that show is brilliant because it reflected that aspect of our society as art is supposed to do. In fact, I would say I'd like to see Entourage reboot become, maybe where it's not going so well. Did you notice that there were no hangovers on Entourage?
Yeah.
No fucking hangovers. That's not real. So I think the first episode should be like Vince waking up with a hangover and realizing he's just not so young anymore. It's like,
I love it.
But I think that I definitely went through that rite of passage. I didn't have that growing up when I went from boy to man, and I had to sort of walk myself through that rite of passage in many ways. And the difference is just not living for self, for ego, for your own pleasure, and also not the inflated ego that thinks that you're going to save everybody. It's like the savior complex. Like, I'm going to protect women. I'm going to save the world. But it's more like, do I even have the capacity and the ability to do that? And having that reality check, right? Because like, do you have the physical skills to go out there and wrestle a bear, or at least know what to do if a bear shows up? No, you're in the city. You're getting Uber Eats. You're fucking flicking through your phone and just like primping and looking good. But if shit hit the fan, if the real world came knocking on your door, you would be utterly powerless. You would be inept. And I think that's what a lot of men are feeling. This ineptitude. And it's like subconscious, because they don't see it on the surface, but they feel like somewhere down the line, if something happened, they would not be able to handle it. And women feel that. They don't feel safe because they know you may be a good looking dude on your fucking Instagram, but if shit hit the fan, like you would not be able to protect me and my children.
Yeah, I agree with this. And I think this is now, as we're even talking about it, it's interesting because I think we're already, transferring that awareness by anybody listening to it, or we're speaking it into the ethos of, our collective consciousness as we talk about it together, and really creating together, co-creating together is like, how do we want to show up as men? How are we going to move forward so that, the balance of our energies, masculine and feminine, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter, but actually showing that willingness to kind of dance with one another, to learn from each other, to know that whether you're a woman or a man, you actually can learn so much from each other. And we're here to actually learn from each other and support one another.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're in a really exciting renaissance.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really awesome unfolding and a lot of correction, if you will. But that's nature. Nature's always correcting. I take that back. It's not like this is a special time. It's like at least I feel now that I'm open and aware of it, that it further enthuses me. Even though there's a lot of really.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
You
Go
know,
ahead.
even there's a lot of tragedy around, a lot of sorrow, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unrest. I feel more capable than I used to.
Mm. And this is by stepping in. This is by stepping in into like this sovereignty as a let's call it, you know, a prince versus a king, and now as a king stepping into this role of creator, right? Being into this like creative persona where you're like really taking on initiative and stepping into instead of walking into a room and seeing uncertainty, you're like, no, I'm gonna find a way, or I'm gonna make one, you know. And I think this is the masculine presence of like being able to say, you know, with compassion, of course, right? Because highest form of love, and then being able to be so compassionate, but being willing to say, I'm going to create a way. I'm going to find one. There's I may not know all the answers. 100 times out of 1,000, you know, I'm going to be wrong, you know, more, whatever, right? But the thing is like, how can I find? I'm certainly, you know, resourceful enough to find the right people to help create a solution. And I think this is what a real, you know, leader, a real sovereign, a real king, a real masculine that walks into anything, like man, you know, walks in and can create. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of energy out there that's going towards wanting to quell or douse those energies, you know, wanting to make everybody the same, you know, and not really starting to recognize, okay, what are these different aspects to life? You know, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? What is masculine, feminine? And since I started to explore those realms, there's something innate within me that felt very comforted by those themes, if you will, what you're speaking to. When I started to really lean into what it means to be masculine, right? I mean, and as a chameleon, as an actor, like I could be anything, right? And I'm fluid, and I wear a fucking dress. But those things are those are superficial expressions of feminine, like a dress or, you know, overalls. I don't know. But there are things that are deeper energetically, and whether or not you are biologically one way or the other, energetically, you can paint upon the world with these different energies. And from what I see, like the masculine energy is a steady holder of space with a clear direction and the capacity to meet trouble with something to be reckoned with. And the feminine energy is, you know, warm and nesting in order to, you know, be full of potential. And, you know, it's often quite uncertain because there's so much potential coming through that feminine that is the life. Once it comes, it's defined. But like when the baby is growing, when the baby's like floating around, what's it going to be? It could be anything. And then, and that's like something that I really taken to heart, is like my masculine gift is to serve my wife so that she can feel as safe as possible, so that when she nests and brings forth life, that baby is as comforted as possible, so it doesn't have all the anxiety of a woman who's feeling unstable or scared or unsafe. And then if it comes back full circle, the little boy that I was that didn't feel safe because my dad left, or I had adult male masculine figures that were abusive in various ways, then I can break that cycle, because the little boy in me wanted so much to have the man that I am today. And I get to actually correct through that recognition of my little boy and what he needed.
And so now when you're going into creating, right, life, when you're going to create life, this is going to be something that you not only transfer that awareness to, because through you and Jordan now, just like my parents did to me, right? That unconditional love that my parents offered to me as a young boy, and as a to this moment, like till yes, like they're still always like, oh, Eric, keep going, and full
Right.
unconditional love. And bro, I have to say that this is the most powerful, loving awareness that can be offered to any child. I can tell you, I put my parents through so much pain and uncertainty, and their unconditional faith and love through everything, and to this day, is the force that has allowed me to keep going. And so this is, I think, the most powerful thing that any parent or any family or any husband, wife, mother, father can offer, because it truly heals trauma on an ancestral, generational pattern, because you're willing to have that faith that you physically see from your parents. And that physical experience of faith and love, it's the most powerful thing. It put me through so many things. Sorry, bro, go. Yeah.
No, what I would say is, certainly a child will witness their parents, right? And they will get downloads just without words, right? But even one step before that is like, I realized I want to be the best father I can be. Yep. And just like, what's the timeline that we need to get off the planet and to like solve that riddle? How long do we need? I realized that in order to be the man and the father that I want to be, I better get started now, right? Like, I'm not going to wait till I have a kid and then be like, okay, let me quickly become that man, because then that's just a projection of what you want. Becoming the person you want takes time. It takes repetition. It takes habit forming. It takes, first like ideation, like what's right, what's wrong, like making mistakes, so that you can become so embodied and become the thing. Just like acting, when you rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, at first it's just you're pretending, it feels awkward, but then eventually it's second nature. Like, oh, I'm this character. I put on this suit and I do this and boom, boom, and that's Vince. Now I can be embodied divine father, hopefully, to the best by the time the child arrives, so that I don't have to, I can just show the presence without trying, without teaching, but just being.
Just being. And this just goes back to how we started, is like, we can all just be. We actually, by being, realizing that everything is inside of us, and because by being everything is inside of us, everything will show up in front of us, and there's nothing that any of us need to prove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
bro, honestly, blow my mind. So I have to say, when you were Vincent, you had Eric next to you, right? And now as you're traversing into this Adrian, or you've been Adrian, so I just think it's so fascinating. We're on the podcast and now you have a different Eric. It's really interesting.
E, yeah.
Yeah, good old E. So broski, listen, tell me, like, if anybody wants to know more about some of this beautiful projects that you're working on, or anything that you're really curious to or wanting to share more about. I know you're already like doing tons of amazing, beautiful things with Earth Speed and the farm. And I know today we touched a lot about characters and awareness and bridging together this masculine feminine presence. But if there's anything that anybody would love to know more specifically about what you're doing, is there anything that you want to share just before we finish up?
Yeah, I would say check out Earth Speed. We're trying to grow that channel. It's a lifestyle in the cadence of nature. So we really take our cues from the natural world about how we want to live. So it's inspiration, education, and I guess actualization or experiences that we're looking to bring to you that are inspired by nature. And so that's on Instagram and YouTube. Eventually, we're actually locked out of our account. So we're trying to get that back. If anybody out there works for YouTube, call me. But yeah, and of course, I am Worldview's chief Earth advocate. If you guys want to go to pick a balloon, it's actually balloon technology that'll take you to space. Check out worldview.space and reserve your spot. It's actually going to be like 1/10 of the cost or 20th of the cost of the other guys. So it's like getting more and more affordable for the everyday person. And yeah, and I guess that's it for now.
Amazing, bros. So listen, one last question before we go. If you had 3 days left to live, what would you do?
Jeez, man, 3 days. That's crazy. Like, I feel like I would just continue to do my chores, chop wood, carry water. I mean, there's so much to do. I want to just make sure that I could get it all, as much of it done before I go. But I'd wear pants this time when working in the field.
Dude, honestly, it was really a pleasure. I really appreciated this. It was a great conversation, man. And I look forward to spending time either in person or, go for coffee, dinner somewhere, in the near future. I look forward to it, man. And I just want to say thanks for your time, bro.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Bye, everyone.
Hey, everyone. And thank you so much for listening to The Resilient Minds. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure to go comment and like and follow us on iTunes or Spotify, and please make sure that if you really love this, to share this episode, and make sure that you're inviting all your friends to like it as we continue to unfold what the beauty of our minds does. More importantly, how powerful our heart level of intelligence can be when we combine our heart and our brain together. And more importantly, check out the alignment course that I've created. It's seriously there for you to take advantage of at www.ericbalance.com/alignment. See you on the next show.